the marble floors of Halvorsen Tower had seen billion-dollar deals, celebrity CEOs, and even a presidential handshake once. But they'd never seen a janitor blow soap bubbles to calm a child in crisis until that Tuesday afternoon. "Get away from her! That girl might bite," barked the security guard, rushing toward the scene like he was defusing a bomb. James Whitaker, 44, night janitor, froze mid-mop, his eyes locking onto the little girl curled up on the cold floor. 6 years old, blonde, trembling, rocking back and forth with her hands clamped over her ears like the world was screaming at her. Executives stood uselessly in a semicircle, mumbling about episodes and sensory overload as if they understood either. James saw what they couldn't have seen, that same haunted look in his daughter's eyes years ago. "You don't unsee that. You don't ignore it either." "Can I help her?" he asked, voice calm, measured. The security guard didn't even look at him. "You're the janitor. Stay out of it." But the girl had already looked upright at James. Something flickered. Recognition, maybe. Or just the absence of fear. He didn't wait for permission. James walked over to his cart, dipped 2 fingers into his mop water, and pulled out a half-empty bottle of dish soap. Then he sat down, 10 feet away from the girl, and began blowing bubbles. No sudden movements. No commands. Just small, shimmering orbs catching the light and floating gently toward the high glass ceiling. One bubble. Then another. The girl's rocking slowed. Her eyes followed the dance of light, fixated. Her breathing evened out. Up on the mezzanine, a woman in heels that cost more than James' car watched in stunned silence. That woman was Celine Halvorsen, billionaire biotech mogul, boardroom assassin, single mother to the girl named Lily, and currently frozen in place, watching a janitor succeed where 43 licensed therapists had failed. James didn't see her coming, didn't see the ripple of discomfort run through the suits as she descended. But he knew who she was the moment she spoke. "Mr. Whitaker," Celine said, voice cool and clipped. "My office. Now." He stood slowly, prepared for the worst. His job? Gone. His chance to ever work in a corporate building again? Shredded. But her eyes didn't say anger. They said something worse. Gratitude. Confused. Vulnerable. Dangerous. Her office was the size of a condo, wrapped in glass and anxiety. She didn't sit. "Who taught you that?" "The bubbles?" James shrugged. "My daughter. She's autistic. You learn, or you lose her." She blinked. "Once. Twice. You're telling me you're a trained therapist, and you mop floors?" He didn't flinch. "Used to teach special ed. Masters in Educational Psychology. Columbia. Then budget cuts happened. And life. Now I clean." The room went still. She glanced out the window, down at the lobby, down at Lily, who was now lying calmly on the floor, reaching toward a floating bubble like it held the key to her entire world. "I've spent $500,000 on specialists," she said, more to herself than to him. They never got her to smile. James said nothing. "I want to hire you," she added, turning. $15,000 a month. Consultant title. Start tomorrow." He didn't laugh, but his silence made her uncomfortable. "You think this fixes it?" he said. "You judged me the moment you saw my uniform. Just like everyone else in this building." "I don't judge by race," she snapped. "No," he replied. "You judge by class. Same poison, different label." She didn't respond. "I'm not here to make you feel better," James said. "I'm here for Lily. And if I stay, It's on my terms. No cameras. No timelines. No corporate metrics. She hesitated, then nodded. The next day, James showed up with someone else's daughter, Maya. 16, quiet, sharp-eyed. She carried art supplies and didn't flinch when Celine answered the door in silence. I thought Lily might need someone closer to her age, James said. Within an hour, Lily was painting with Maya, mixing colors, whispering purple when Maya told her how red and blue fall in love. Celine cried quietly in the kitchen. But peace is a fragile thing. Dr. Julian Pierce, Harvard-trained therapist to the elite, showed up that afternoon. $15,000 per session, tailor-made suits, ego imported from Geneva. He took one look at the scene and sneered. Unlicensed individuals should not interact with neurodiverse children. This is reckless. James stood up slowly. Funny, he said. You've been treating Lily for 2 years, and she hasn't said a word. She said 2 to my daughter today. Pierce turned red. I'm reporting this to the board. Do that, Celine said, walking into the room. But bring your billing records while you're at it. 3 days later, James stood before Halvorsen Biotech's Medical Ethics Board. But he wasn't alone. A neuroscientist from NYU had joined him, brought in by Celine. James presented transcripts, audio files, and even carbon copies of months-old reports Pierce had submitted, identical except for dates. It wasn't just incompetence. It was fraud. Celine fired Pierce that day. And 5 others. And then she did something no one expected. She stepped down from the company and poured millions into a new foundation, the Whitaker Halvorsen Initiative for Neurodiverse Inclusion. 6 months later, James stood on stage at the National Autism Congress beside Lily, who now spoke in full sentences and sold paintings to fund inclusion programs across the country. My name is Lily, she said into the mic, and this is Mr. James. He didn't fix me. He just saw me. The room erupted in applause. And in the front row, a mother who used to think money could buy answers realized the most expensive mistake she ever made was underestimating a janitor who had never stopped paying attention.